Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome to Clarke Road's cooking tutorial. Today we're going to make a cheesecake. But instead of your ordinary cheesecake, we're actually using things that I had left over from my Christmas and New Year celebrations. So I had lots of cream left over from the desserts that I made, so today I'm using a brandy cream that was left. I received lots of delicious biscuits from the client, so I'm going to put some of those biscuits that I received into the recipe, and also all of the yummy chocolates that I received as well. So I'm going to use that as decoration for the top. Now, all we ask of you, if you are going to participate in this, is that you are supervised while doing so. So if you have a brother or sister, a mum, a dad, or a carer who can be there to assist you and supervise you throughout this period. There's no hot tops involved, no ovens. All we need is just the utensils in front of me here and the fridge, as it's a no bake cheesecake. The very first thing we must do before we cook or we participate in any activity is we must wash our hands. Perfect. So once your hands are clean, we're going to start the very first step. So our first step is to make the base. So what I'm going to do, if you have a food processor, use your food processor. It will be much easier to do it, but I don't have one. So I'm going to get my biscuits. I need 200 grams of any type of biscuit. You can have digestives, Biscoff, anything you like. Today I'm using the shortbread biscuits that I received. And I'm going to place mine into a Ziploc bag. And then with that, I'm going to use my rolling pin. I'm going to smash the biscuits that way. But as I said, if you do have a food processor, it's probably best and easier to do it that way. So 200 grams. Oh, Bailey's come to say hello, my little dog. Okay, so 200 grams of biscuits in your bag. If you are doing it the same, make sure you take all the air out of the bag. I'm going to do it onto a chopping board. I'm just going to bang them until it forms a fine crumb, and then once that's done, I'm going to melt some butter and add it together. Okay, so now I've formed that fine crumb. I still see a few chunky bits, so I'm just going to go through it again and make sure that it's all okay. Perfect. Once I've crushed that, I'm going to add it to a bowl with some brown sugar. So I need 1/3 cup of brown sugar to go into this mixture. So it was 200 grams of biscuits, followed by 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Brown sugar here. Okay, so 1/3 cup of brown sugar into that biscuit mixture. Now, if you don't want to add sugar to this part, you don't have to, because your biscuits, remember, will be, if you use chocolate digestives, they will be sweet. So you actually don't need this step. Now, because I chose shortbread, I'm going to add the sugar into it. Perfect. Now from here, what we need to do is we need to melt our butter. So as you can see, I've got my shortbread biscuits followed by my brown sugar in the bowl. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to melt 115 grams of butter. Okay, so 115 grams of butter to be melted. Now this step will need some supervision because you are going to handle something that can become hot. So that's from the microwave. So this clever little butter has measurements on the side, so I can follow that. So I know exactly how much I'm going to chop. If you don't have that, you can use the scales. If you don't have the scales, then it equates to 8 tablespoons of butter. So 115. Just under half of a 215 gram block of butter. So 115 grams of butter I'm going to place into the microwave and I'm going to melt. So do this only for short periods of time, check it and give it a stir. So I'm going to pop it into my microwave for 20 seconds. I'm going to let that finish, I'm going to give it a stir and I'm going to see if it needs to be melted any more than that. And if it does, again only for a short period of time. Go in this microwave now. Okay, so now I have my melted butter. I did it very carefully, only 20 seconds at a time, kept checking, gave it a stir, make sure it's all melted. And as I said, be very, very careful doing this step as you are touching something that could be hot. And you don't want to burn yourself. So just getting rid of all those lumps and using that residual heat to melt it all. Now once I've done that, I'm going to pour it straight into that mixture of my biscuits and brown sugar if you are using the brown sugar. Perfect. It's all melted in there. It smells delicious. Now with my spatula, I'm just going to mix that all together. Make sure that's all well combined. Making sure everything's covered. And it's going to be slightly a damp texture just because it needs to stick together, mold together once we popped it into the tin, the setting tin. Now, if you're doing this step and you still see that it's a bit chunky, probably things need to be broken down a little bit more, you can get your wooden spoon once again and break it down. So I'm just going to do that now in the bowl. I'm going to break it down a little bit further just so it's a little bit smaller. So it's not too chunky. Just scrape that off the end there. Perfect. Okay, give it another mix, make sure it's all mixed through. So, the tin that you're going to use, the best type of tin is a spring form tin where you can push the base up. But unfortunately, I don't have one of those, so I'm going to make do with what I have. So just a round tin that's approximately 20 centimeters in diameter. Going to get some baking paper that I prepared earlier. I'm going to push it into the base of that tin. And don't worry if it springs out, because as soon as you place your base mixture on the bottom, it won't spring out. So now place your mixture into the base of it. And once it's all in, you're then going to push it into the base of the tin. You're going to create that crust. If you have too much for the base, what you can do is you can push it up around the sides. So let's see how I do here. Pushing it down, just with the back of a spoon, pushing it down, making sure I'm reaching all of those corners, so that when we do make the cheesecake layer, it doesn't seep down to the base. Making it an even texture all along the bottom. Trying to get as level as possible. Yep, I've got a good amount here, so I'm just going to do the base. I'm not going to go up the sides of it. Make it a flat base down the bottom. Now, if your base is too dry, you'll need to add some more butter to it. And the reason and the way you'll know that it is too dry is that it doesn't hold together. You need it to hold together in the tin. If it's too crummy, add a little bit more butter to it. If it's too buttery, add some more shortbread biscuits to it, or biscuits to it, just to dry it up a bit. Whenever I cook, I always add less butter than I might need, because I can always then add more to it, and my measurements won't go out the window. Whereas if I put too many biscuits, then my proportions are all out. Okay, perfect. That's all done. I push it all the way to the corners. It's nice and flat and even. It smells amazing. Naughty food always smells amazing. Okay, and now what I'm going to do with this is we need it to set. So we need to place it into the fridge. So as you can see, it's nice and flat. And I'm going to now place it into the fridge so it sets, so that the butter now then gets solidified again, goes hard again, and it will hold it all together. So I'm just going to pop that into the fridge while we make our cheesecake layer. So on to our next step to make our filling. Now I'm going to use a handheld electric mixer here. I'm going to pop those into the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my, whoops the daisies, my Philadelphia cream cheese. So I need 680 grams of my cream cheese. I'm going to pop it straight into my bowl. Separate that so I can recycle them. Last one. Now I'm doing just over 680 grams but that's okay if I have excess filling. Okay, so what I've done is I've added all of my cream cheese, that's 680 grams worth of cream cheese, into my big bowl. I'm now going to add half a cup of granulated sugar. Oops, it just went everywhere. So I've got my half cup straight into there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that electric mixer and I'm going to beat them together on a medium speed. So I want to beat it until it becomes smooth and it's all combined. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape the sides down, making sure that there's no lumps and making sure everything's well combined. I'm now going to use some lemon juice. And all you require is 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. So I'm just going to use some fresh lemons, cut it in half. Make sure I don't have any seeds in there. So 2 teaspoons, I've got my little teaspoon measurement here. That's 1, 2. So I've added my 2 teaspoons of lemon juice into the mixture. So the purpose of the lemon juice is that's what's going to bind it together. That's what's going to make it firm within the cheesecake. So it's not all floppy and going from side to side. Now, what else I'm going to add is I'm going to add some icing sugar into it, or as some people may know it as confectioner's sugar. So this requires 2 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar, icing sugar. So 2 tablespoons of my icing sugar now into this same mixture of the cream cheese and the lemon. Anymore. So what I've done with my mixture is I've added 2 teaspoons of lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of icing sugar. I'm going to do the same thing that I did just do. I'm going to now give it a bit of a mix again. I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I usually use the lid and measure it in there and then pour it straight in. So to that mixture, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give that another little scrape down those sides once again, making sure it's all well combined. so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 300 mils of cream to my mixture. Now, as I said, I'm using things that I had left over from Christmas. So this flavour is brandy cream. So I'm going to add brandy cream into this cheesecake. Fingers crossed it works. Now, if you don't have brandy cream, any cream that you have at home, a heavy, thick whipping cream. Now, I only had 250 mils of whipping cream in that container. It was a bit short, a bit small. So I'm going to add the extra 50 mils just with normal whipping cream, just like that. So I've added my heavy whipping cream into my cream cheese mixture. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some sour cream. Now, if you don't have sour cream, that's fine. You can also use creme fraiche. So what we're going to do, we're going to use 60 grams of creme fraiche or sour cream. So that's about 1/4 of a cup of that ingredient, 1/4 of a cup. I'm just going to stir that through firstly with my spatula, nice and gently. There we go. So I'm just lifting off that heavier cream cheese from the base. And now I'm going to use my electric mixer. And I'm going to mix it all together. Making sure that's all well combined, there's no lumps in there. Our cream cheese has mixed with our cream and our creme fraiche or sour cream, depending on what you're using. It's nice and light and airy and fluffy. Okay, that looks spectacular. That looks so nice. Once again, just scraping those sides down, making sure it's all combined. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more of lemon juice. Let's put that everywhere. Okay, so that's all mixed together now. It's got a good consistency. You don't want it too runny, otherwise it won't set. So you want it to be a slightly thick consistency. But as I said, that lemon juice factor will help thicken it once you place it back into the fridge to set. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into my fridge. I'm going to show you the consistency of this first though. It's lovely. So I'm going to go on my fridge, as I said. And I'm going to get our base out that we had prepared earlier. And as it's been in there, it would have set slightly. And once we place the cheesecake layer on top of it and we place it back into the fridge, it'll set even more. So you need a good period of time to create this beforehand if you are having guests over and wanting to serve it to friends and family, because you need to give it at least 4 hours to set in the fridge. So I've got my base, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour in my mixture. Now say for example, you're pouring in your mixture and you realise you have too much mixture left. That's okay. What you can do is do that first step all over again and create some more base and make little individual cheesecakes. So I'm just going to place it down the bottom, spreading it nice and even. Can't wait to try this later. As I said, I was using my leftover brandy cream from Christmas, so I've never tried a brandy cheesecake before. Hopefully it's a success. All around to the corners, making sure there's no gaps, pushing out any air that may be there. Building it right up. Another way to prevent you having excess, like the cheesecake layer, is having a deeper tin. Mine's quite thin, but if you had a deeper tin, a thicker tin, a deeper one, then you'll be able to add more to the top. Now, I did see a very clever way to make cheesecake, and if you wanted to make those mini ones as I was talking about. What I saw someone do is get a cupcake muffin holder and place a biscuit, a round biscuit, didn't crush it up, didn't add any butter to it, into the bottom, and then place the cream cheese on top and the cheesecake mixture, and then pop it into the fridge in your muffin tin and let it set. So it's taking out that step of doing the base by automatically just placing down a chocolate biscuit, a round one, a digestive, whatever you prefer, and having that step already done for you. Which is very clever. Getting it nice and smooth. What I'm going to do is, before I place it back into the fridge, I'm going to decorate it with, as I said, those chocolates that I was given so kindly by all our beautiful clients. So thank you so much. Making sure that top layer is even too, that there's no dents. That's all one layer. Another way you can do it, you can just shake the tin a little bit and it'll help level it out. nice and smooth, no creases. Alrighty, so that's all done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate it. As I said, I got lots of yummy chocolates. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop them all around the cheesecake. Do a little pattern, a little design. I'm going to say something very controversial right now. You either love them or you hate them, but Bounty, ooh, they're my favourite. They're the best chocolate. Chocolate, coconut, oh yes, my favourite. I know lots of people don't like them. I don't know why. I can't believe it. Some other chocolate that I'm going to add to give it some height. Different textures. There we go. Galaxy. Milky Bar, one of each I think. I'll place one of each type of chocolate on there. Caramel Galaxy. Done Twix. Well, I haven't done Snickers yet. Obviously, if you're allergic to nuts, make sure you don't have the Snickers. Or you don't put it in there if you have someone who is allergic to nuts, because you'll make them very poorly. Okay, so I think that's all of them. I'm now going to add some, I've got some flippin' awesome cream cheese pretzels. I'm going to add those too. Nice little pattern, a nice little, oopsie daisies. I dropped it into there. How's that look? What do we think? There we go. We've got our cheesecake with our chocolate design on top. This is just something that I wanted to do on top. You could get bigger chocolate bars and build it right up to make a gorgeous cheesecake. There's a company in London called Please Us Cheesecakes, and they do it, and it looks incredible. You could melt chocolate once it had set. Once the cheesecake had set, you could melt some chocolate and pour that over the top of your cheesecake to then set on top of that. Anything. You can put strawberries on top, whatever flavor you like, you can decorate it to your liking. So, now that I've decorated my cheesecake, I'm now going to place it back into the fridge because I need to let it set. And as I said earlier, we want about 4 to 6 hours to allow it to set properly so it all holds together, so that when you do slice through it, it doesn't all fall, it stays intact. Alrighty. Gonna show you up close. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've had a lovely day and I hope you enjoyed the video. You'll have to let me know how it went if you did make it. And if you did, make sure you post it on our Facebook page so you can show everyone your talent. Have a lovely day and we can't wait to welcome you back into all of our buildings tomorrow. Bye everyone! Happy New Year!